Well, if we can zoom up to the right-hand side of it, the 220, particularly the 2207, which is the budget line item for Renew Skatepark.
Oops, it's disappeared. Mine's fallen down, so someone else will have to help you. I don't last on my screen. Ooh. Okay. Oh, we've got it nice and big now. Thanks, Tracy. It's a bit bigger.
Yeah. So Madam Chair, what I'm proposing is a A6, and that the actual table be included as a recommendation, showing the amendment I'm going to propose. Tell me if you can see the figures there for 2207. It's the 750, and then it's broken down into 500, 200, and so forth. Do people see that?
Okay. Is that the middle one? So it's got
the middle row.
250.
Yeah. 250 there's crossed out.
100. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So what I'd like to move, Madam Chair, is that where it says where we've got the column, which is I will enlarge my own one, which I can't hardly read. Sorry, I'll just get that a bit bigger. Where it says in the column for year 22-23, it has a figure of 500, which is crossed out, and that's been replaced with 50,000.
Right.
And then the next column, it's 200k and then 500k. Sorry, I'll just get back to. I had a couple of notes about what I wanted to say to this. Madam Chair, and particularly those Howick members, I'm happy to support the Cockle Bay Playground, but as I said at the last meeting, not at the detriment of the skate park in Lloyd Elsmore. And I just want to remind Member Spiller, it was probably over 7 years ago that you and I met with the young person at that skate park. I think he was only 16 years old at the time. He's 23 years old now. Not that that's your problem, Member Spiller, or my problem, but that's just how long ago we looked to try and do something at the skate park. I want to acknowledge Marcel and the officers from Community Facilities for actually resurfacing and getting something done, and support all the people that'll be behind that, Bruce and Bo and Mike and yourself, and that have been helping to get something done there. I think it's a slight improvement, but for many years it's been really under delivered. So as I say, I'm happy, and I hope board members agree with me that will support me. I'm happy to support the Cockle Bay Playground to get done, because it's been on the books for so long. It's a wonder it hasn't been done. But I'm not happy to move this project out effectively 2 years. When you look at that table, the final year of the project would have started this year, and the final year will be next year. Now the project moves out, so the final year is actually 2 years delayed. So what I'd like to recommend, Madam Chair, that where it says 50,000, we actually change that to 250,000. That'll be next year, and the following year we make it 500. So basically, all I'm asking is those 200k figures and the 500k figures, we don't stretch it out that far. We bring them forward, so it's only effectively being delayed, or probably a year, but certainly not 2 years. So that's what I'd like to recommend, Madam Chair.
I have a question. I think Marcel is here. Can we ask Marcel to come online?
Yeah. So just before we go to Marcel, just so my understanding, sure. my understanding is, and I think Tracy has sent us out some information for. I was reading it today about the fact we're going to start sitting down and start building up the work program. So all of this stuff is up in the air anyway. Nothing's.
Sure.
So maybe I'll ask the question further, if you don't mind, Madam Chair, of Marcel. If what I'm recommending is that locking us in hard and concrete, excuse the pun, or does it still give the board flexibility going into that work program development.
Okay, and I'll ask my question when you're finished, David.
Thank you. Sorry, Madam Chair.
So David, yeah, kia ora team. Nice to chat to you today. Look, we can move the money around. It all depends based on, design, consultation, consent, and then moving it to delivery. Whether that $250,000 is deliverable in 1 year, I don't think so. Once we get to that stage, but I think, hence why we've talked about this at great length in 2 workshops about the risk-adjusted program. Is why we put $50,000 next year, is we can always drag the subsequent $200,000 forward as and when required, and we can use it this year should this pass. So look, I really want to assure you, and I hope I've made it clear, and the team has throughout all the workshops, this is not a project that we want to lose momentum on. Community facilities, and we know the local boards, we work, like we spend your money and we allocate it based on your direction. Is the skate park is a priority to you, so it's a priority to us.
You've pretty much answered my question as well. So, well, I guess, can I just add to that? If we had, let's say we did have money ready to go now to start doing something on that skate park, I mean, when would you actually envisage us being able to build a skate park, given that we need to probably get some sort of business case together. We need to do some due diligence on that business case. We need to look at when the park assessment, what it dictates as far as positioning goes. I understand that Aaron has potentially got some drawings of what he would like to see there, but that's not going to build a skate park. Obviously, you'd have to have quantity surveys and designers put something together. You'd have to get landowner approval. That's going to take a fair amount of time, is it not?
Yeah, look, everything takes a considerable amount of time. Look, based on the small wheel play assessment, it doesn't stop us anything starting next year. Look, I think we could be breaking ground in 18 months from next financial year. And being realistic.
Sounds pretty good. Are there any further questions of Marcel on this item? Yeah, Mike has a question.
Sorry, Madam Chair, I thought I did put a recommendation.
So remember, Colin, let me just clear it up as well. We are talking about the next 3 years, starting in the next couple of weeks. So we start talking about your priorities, and again, we'll third year.
So I'm not committing you to anything, am I?
No, we're still.
No.
Well, just remember, you're not committing me. We're committing the local board's work program. So I deliver your priorities. So if when we sit down and allocate our budgets based on your work program and your community priorities, then we'll deliver that. That's why you see the skateboard park in the work program this year. Last year, it's the first we did the resurfacing. This year, we're talking about the small wheel play assessment, and there's nothing stopping us delivering it once that all comes through. So I don't think we need to really move budgets around, considering everything's part of the risk-adjusted program, and it's a priority for all of us.
Well, you never raised this, Marcel, when you called me.
I don't understand what you mean.
I asked if this was a possibility. I mean, it's not going to change anything, is it? Anyway, Madam Chair, I moved an amendment, and there's a process in the meeting that we need to follow. I'm not even sure if everyone's aware of what I've moved, because I don't even know what people are looking at on the screen.
I don't know if you actually got to move it. I think you just started by asking us to find the yellow diagram that you wanted to talk to. So you want to move an amendment now?
Yeah.
Okay.
What I suggested, Madam Chair, was it become a. Hold on, I'll get back to that page.
A 6.
We're all over the place with this.
A number 6.
A 6, is it? Yes, that's right. A number 6. That the attachment show the amendment that I've just explained. And I guess number 6 would refer to those changes. I mean, I don't know if we need to have wording, or that can be put in the minutes with those amendments. So I'd like to move that amendment. I thought I had. Sorry, Madam Chair.
No, you hadn't. And can I have a seconder, please?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Bruce.
Can I just clarify something, Madam Chair? Can I? It's sort of a question, but it's also a statement. All I'm saying is that I want us to give some direction to the community that we are keeping our accelerator on this project. I fully understand that if we get to the next financial year and it's not doable, Marcel and the staff will come back and say, we don't think it's doable and it may change. But I'm wanting to make sure that we put pressure on this. I know a number of board members have been, heavily involved with this, been down there. I've seen the photos and things of the opening. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there, but there's a lot of the board are supportive of this. I think by continuing to be supportive, we are demonstrating that. As I say, if I'm totally wrong and the project's not doable, and there's an opportunity to jump in, Marcel, if you'd like. But what I'm saying to you is, if what you're saying, if those consents and the design and that isn't ready, then it'll just move back anyway, won't it? So all I'm saying is,
I'll jump in. We've probably seen more movement on the skate park in the last 1 year than you're probably referencing the last 7 years.
Yeah, that's why I complimented you in the start.
Yeah, so look, and it's something our team's excited about delivering. It's something that the local board supports. We're excited to be able to deliver it. So I don't think we need to do resolutions to solidify it. I think the group's excitement about renewing the skate park at Lloyd Elsmore Park.
Through the chair, it's Victoria here, if I may.
Yes, do go ahead.
So I've been listening to the contribution from Member Collins, and I think what I'm hearing is an intention for the board to signal to the community the support for these projects and wanting them to be prioritized, all else being equal. One of the things that you no doubt already know is that the world isn't static. So Marcel and team will continue to make sure they understand your priorities and will continue to give you advice when things change. So in my opinion, this is my opinion and advice, what Member Collins is proposing via the amendment doesn't actually cause any significant issues. It's really just a signal that these projects are important, and all else being equal, you're wanting it to move at pace. So I think that's clear. I also don't think that if you pass the amendment tonight alongside the other recommendations, I don't think it's going to be a material issue in terms of the next year's work program and the one after, bearing in mind that we're starting those conversations again. So it's a shift in the peg, or I'm not going to say the goalpost, but it's a shift in the peg in terms of where and how much you want to allocate, if possible. So I think all of these things, Marcel's team can go away and reasonably be confident that they understand where the board's coming from. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Victoria. Okay, Bruce has a question before I put the motion. Oh, sorry, Mike.
I'm still waiting on my question.
Yeah, I just acknowledged that, Mike. I'm very sorry. I've made a mistake again.
That's okay. No, it's fine. You're having to manage a lot. And was Katrina before me? I'm just trying.
I think that was previous. Katrina, were you before Mike on this topic? I think she was previous.
Okay.
Thanks. You go.
Yeah, sorry, it was previous.
Okay.
Thank you, Katrina. No
problem. So through the chair, yeah. So my first question was regarding is this essentially a symbolic amendment because does the risk adjusted program allow for that funding to come forward? I think I know the answer to this question, but I'm asking you anyway. Does the RAP allow for the funding to come forward anyway? And so are you saying that there's no real need to bring that forward in this particular document? And then on the back of just to have clarify, Victoria, you're saying even if it's just a symbolic move to indicate to the community what is already there, but just not necessarily clear to the lay person, that it actually doesn't change anything, because being in a risk adjusted program budget, that money can go back at any time and it can come forward at any time. Am I understanding things correctly? And regarding I've got a second question, but I'll stop there and ask my second question after.
Through the chair, it's Victoria here. Yes, to the extent that, the world isn't static and change does occur because of the circumstances we find ourselves in. What doesn't change, of course, unless there's further decisions from the governing body, is the amount that's allocated year on year. But within the risk-adjusted program, changes can be accommodated. And as I was saying before, what Member Collins is proposing is really just providing the board's intentions in being clear in terms of what you would hope to happen. Okay, but the world, as we all know, doesn't really work that way, because we need to respond to whatever is happening in terms of the situation, and if necessary, give you more advice to make sure you're being guided in your future decisions. Thank you, Chair.
Right, so Marcel, what's your response?
Yeah, hi Mike, sorry, just trying to find unmute. So essentially, and I'm sorry, the question did jump around a little bit, but I think this is how I heard it. So essentially, so just imagine we're in the first year this year, and we're putting $0 this year, and next year's the second year, we're putting $50,000, and the third year we're putting 200. Even if we pass this resolution today, we can spend $250,000 this year through the risk adjusted program. The only part that falls inside the outer year is that 500,000, but we're about to talk about that in October and lock that in for our next third year work program. So that's the third year we'll be agreeing on through our workshops coming up over the next couple of weeks, and then followed on in February, March. Right.
So the risk adjusted program allows us to do what David is proposing.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
But doing David's amendment is a makes it just a bit more clear potentially to people who are looking at what we're doing, rather than having to explain it. Is that?
It's easier for us to bring money forward than it is to move money out. And I think by putting that $50,000 next year, it's saying, how does the saying go? It's under promising, over delivering. Or was it the other way around? I always get it wrong way. But what I'm saying is that, next year, once we get the understanding what we're doing, we can start doing the scoping, consenting, and design, because we've already done the consultation through the small wheel play assessment, and through that we'll start bringing money forward. And by the time that happens, anyway, we've already agreed on the third year where that subsequent money is going to be. I think the commitment to our community, to say, is through the conversations we have all the time. They'll see it through the conversation. They'll see it through, even when we meet with the Lloyd Elsmore Park User Group Committee every 3 months. Again, as long as the local board's committed to this project, we're 100.
Yeah. So I guess I'm just trying to clarify whether what Victoria said, that there's no material difference between that if we were to approve this, that it really doesn't make a difference either way. And I'm not hearing you say the same thing. I'm confused whether it does or not.
You're saying exactly the same thing. we're saying exactly the same thing. So what? Just trying to sort of get my thoughts right here.
That's okay.
Yeah. So from it, if we move it, if we go down, say we put the $250,000 for next year, we're setting ourselves up for an expectation of delivery that we won't be able to achieve. So hence why we're saying 50,000 and the subsequent 200, with the remainder in the third year, which we're about to agree on in the coming months. I think, Victoria and I are saying exactly the same thing. And like I said right at the start, if through incidentals we can bring, like, not that we want to spend it today, but we could bring that $250,000 forward right now, today, even though it says $0, because it's part of the risk adjusted program.
So it's purely a symbolic communication effort. Is that correct?
Yeah, but it's looking at us realistically now, what we can realistically deliver. But the risk adjusted program is based on shifts and moves of under delivery and over delivery.
Right. Okay. And then with the thanks for that. And with the small wheel assessment, how much does the small wheel assessment impact this funding? Because this is renewal funding, and the small wheel assessment regarding either a full rebuild, or because renewal funding is only for renewing the existing asset, not necessarily creating a new asset. What happens if the small wheel assessment says that actually it's better to put the skate park in a different location? And what do we do then?
When we put the skateboard in a different location.
So where does the renewal funding go? Does the renewal funding go towards a new skate park in a different location, or does it? Just go off in the ether.
Hey, look, we can use renewal funding within the same catchment, and it's probably not the best place to get into the detail here. But let me just say, a toilet at a neighbouring park, it's no longer being used in that area because the activation's in there. You can renew that toilet at a park across the road, for example. So, so moving renewals, because what's the point of renewing something just because it's always been there?
Right. Okay. Thank you. That's very helpful. And congratulations again to all the hard work you've done in this 2 workshops and presenting. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. Sorry I overlooked you, and now it's Bruce's turn, followed by John.
Chair, before you ask Member Kendall to speak, can I just remind members that we're now at 8 minutes to 9 o'clock, and 9 o'clock is actually too late for people who have to deal with family stuff after. So, if you wouldn't mind, please keep your comments brief, and let's aim to finish by 9 o'clock because you've got 2 other items to go after this. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So, Bruce, a nice quickie question from you, and likewise, John.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I sent an email through to everybody before, the other board members before earlier today about what I'm going to talk to, and so I'm reading just word for word straight off the email, and I'm concerned that the wording in the addendum agenda item 19.14 project ID 2207 and 2204 is not properly reflecting the intentions of the required direction from the local board based on the last workshop discussion on this subject. And I included the attachment, and I'm not sure if you're able to bring it up on the screen. Are you able to bring that up on the screen? That particular
the attachment?
Yes.
So 2207 and 2204.
Yeah, but it's not that one. It's the grey one. And I'll read it for you. It's so it's point 14. Are you able to go down to point 14?
Let's see if that's loading. Which page number would that be on? It's So
Okay.
I think it's page 7, I think. Is it? That's a table, isn't it, Bruce? With the two.
Yes, it's a table.
Yeah. Yeah.
in the actual report.
There we go, point 14. Right, we've got it right there. Perfect, thank you. So my point is, I understand the point the board wanted the wheel play assessment to be completed ASAP with a focus on possible locations for the renewals and new features to ensure they are future-proofed and interact well with the geography and other existing and planned features. It was to take advantage of the current private funding opportunities and possible cost savings from resource savings between the parties in the construction phase. Detailed design options are not needed at this stage, as the experts from the private sector should be the ones to present design options, not council. Latham Construction and BMX have both offered and are capable to manage these projects. I don't think we need any further information regarding correct age and demographics of its users. This could only waste time and risk losing the financial support offered for the skate park and BMX pump track. It is old and common knowledge that the skate parks accommodate males, females, adults to school-aged children from all socio-economic backgrounds. We know that there are a number of forms of wheel play and each have their unique requirements and commonalities. Some mix and some don't. We just want to be sure that the suggested wheel play assessment for the locations in the park take into account the different wheel play requirements already well identified. Pump track for bikes and possibly scooters and skateboards, skate park for skating and scooters and possibly bikes, and the children's learn to cycle park. So can everybody see the issue with this the grey highlighted wording on the right hand side of the column, particularly the last sentence? Any feedback?
So just in regards to the correct age and demographic of its users, is that what you're?
Yeah, we don't need an assessment that tells us that. I don't know why it's even there.
Do you mind, Marcel, would you be able to answer that for us, your Tessa? Why an assessment has those sorts of focuses or questions?
It's about the correct age and demographics of its users. It's the last line. Thank you.
So through the chair, it's Victoria here. Sorry, I think Ian may not be online, but the reality is, Member Kendall, you're asking for something in the report that has of no consequence to the recommendations in front of you. So I'm not sure exactly what you want us to do at this point.
I don't know what else to say. I mean, if the wording in the text is misleading, I don't think that's, and considering that the public will be able to look at this, I think it's misleading and it needs to be corrected. Thank you.
I think the officers will agree to disagree with that one because, you know, that was the advice that was given.
No, Victoria, I'm sorry. We had a workshop on it. It was very clear from the board members what we were asking, and this text doesn't reflect that.
So the text you're referring to is basically description about, not sure what that noise is, but you know, that was the stage of the project at the time that this report was written. And at the moment, if you look at the middle column, the budget is basically going from 250,000 down to 0. And so it's a reduction of the total amount. And so that's the middle. The further details.
Excuse me, Victoria, somebody is eating and it's quite disgusting and we can barely hear you. Sorry.
Okay, so what I'm saying is the details in the right, so the third or fourth column, is really just, you know, further information to support why the budgets have been moved. So it's got nothing, it has no consequence in terms of the decisions you're making tonight, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm not disagreeing with Member Kendall. All I'm saying is that, you know, that further description is not really going to have a significant impact in terms of the decision that's being asked of you tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Victoria. No, I agree with that, but I still think that this text needs to be modified for future
Chair, I'm going to
consideration.
ask that we
Thank you.
move on because it's now 9 o'clock. Thank you,
Yes.
Chair. Otherwise, I'm going to have to ask the team to, you know, leave
I'm
the
trying
meeting.
my best, Victoria. John, do you have a question?
I just wanted to make a quick comment, really. Look, I understand where David's coming from with wanting to see this happen. I want to see it happen. I was at that meeting 7 years ago, and it would be a great community asset. But I think we're putting the cart before the horse. There's a lot of work to be done. I mean, Member Kendall's already referred to Latham Construction, and we remember the presentation in public forum with some sort of offer potentially on the table to work with the board and community facilities to get this happening. But if we start putting in bigger sums of money already in that column, we might actually lose an opportunity for this private-public partnership possibility, because, you know, we're already saying, well, this is what we're prepared to commit to. I think, you know, there's a whole lot of steps that have to happen before we get to that point. Marcel's already stated there's, you know, flexibility, budgets can be brought forward, and things can happen more quickly if the conditions are favourable. But yeah, there's land use consents, there's designs, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's got to happen. So yeah, I just don't, whilst I support the project in principle, I don't see the need to bring these funding amounts forward when there is flexibility there in any case. All right, I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you. So we probably need to, at this stage, do we want to vote for David's amendment separately, or do we want to put it with the rest? How do you feel, David?
I'm happy to put it with the rest,
Okay.
if you want.
Would others prefer to see it separate or with the rest? Okay, at this stage, can we go do 1 to 5, and then we'll look at 6. So do I have we've got a mover and a seconder, haven't we?
Well, if we're going to do that, Madam Chair, well, I'm not sure why you'd do it separate. Nobody said they want to do it separate.
Because there could be some mixed feelings on it.
Yeah, but you asked the question, do people want to put it together or against? Nobody said anything. Then you asked me, and I said, if you're happy to put it together, I'm happy for that.
Right. Does anybody object? All right. So we go 1 to 6. Obviously, you've got that written up in front of you. I can't see that. So can you please remind me of who the mover and the seconder were, please? It's been such a long time.
Chair, it's Victoria here. So if Member Collins and Member Kendall are happy, I've got them as the mover and seconder for the whole lot now.
Thank you.
I'm more than happy, Madam Chair.
Perfect. All right. So all those in favour say aye.
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 Against?
Aye.
That's carried. Thank you.